Hello, motherfuckers. This is another exclusive video for Rumble, talking about everything that's going on, everything that's fucking nuts, woke, and backwards in the world. So, I've been looking into ESG. Some people might know what it is. It's ESG stands for environment, social governance, communism, globalism, Rothschildism. No, but what we're going to get into, first of all, go over to my YouTube, subscribe. I'm going to be doing my Iliad and Homer Assassin's Creed Odyssey gameplay and audiobook videos for tomorrow, for Monday and Tuesday. But today we're going to stick to, also when you're on my YouTube, go to my links, which are up here. My links are up here. But this is all my links. Audible, that's for like referrals. Donations, that's an AI I'd recommend having a look into. Through Rumble, that I'm streaming on. My merch, my Etsy store, Patreon. Just go and check it out. Trying to get followers. I've got 6. How many I've got? I've got 38 right now. So first things first, let's go over to this. Just gonna flip this over. Window capture. I'm gonna put it on this one. So I'm just gonna get rid of YouTube for a sec. We're not really gonna be watching any videos. We're just gonna be talking about what's currently going on. Put you over here. Kind of connect some dots, but a lot of this source I got from Black Scout Survival. He's a YouTuber. He's also on Rumble. I'd go and give him a watch. I like watching him. He's got guns. I like guns. He's American, but I was gonna try and aim this video towards the UK, what the UK's been doing, but there isn't much. There are some videos you could watch on YouTube. I just typed in ESG UK, and it's just boring. They're just boring videos. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and get into this. April 7, 2023, inside the CEI system, pushing brands to endorse celebs like Dylan Mulvaney. Now, this goes a little bit deeper than just Dylan Mulvaney and the Budweiser rubbish that's been going on, the controversy. This is how they're going to implement the socialism, communism structure. We all know about 1984. We all know about communism. We all know about how they used propaganda to get the people to censor each other and kind of give themselves their own little credit scores and credit systems. And in a way, they are still doing that with the CBDCs. But they know that if they just implement that, it's bad news. It'll just be bad news. Straight away, people will be upset that they can't draw the money out the bank. There'll be a run on the banks. The system will go a bit crazy. So what they're doing is they're doing it through corporations, and corporations are exactly how you are controlled. You can't. Every single thing you have, every single thing you want, everything you think you want, is controlled by these corporations. What it comes down to, the old. It's not an old saying. It's something I've said for an old time, but I've never heard anyone else say it. But I would imagine a lot of people probably have said it. It's you use capitalism to get rich, and you use socialism to stay rich. This is essentially the goal of these wealthy elites. Now, they've been doing this for a long time. They've been setting it up for a long time. In fact, I would even say that capitalism in itself was set up to bring in this socialism. It's always one or the other. Some people say that they kind of flip between one and the other whenever it suits them. There's a whole agenda that's always afoot. There's so many tentacles all over the place, but there's one octopus. There's one goal. There's one objective. Now let's get into this. Lucrative deals to what were once considered fringe celebrities fringe celebrities because they have to, or risk failing an all-important social credit score that could make or break their business. So this Corporate Equality Index, which is a website I'll go to in a second. Essentially, they threaten companies. It's a bit like the mafia. They threaten companies if you don't go woke, if you don't say these things, if you don't support sodomy and all these other things. If you don't do as we say, we'll send activists to your store. And this is where I think a lot of the people that are going into these stores, into Target, into these clothing brands and stealing. We've seen hundreds and hundreds of videos of these people stealing. And we know that they're probably doing it because the law's been passed. The law's been passed for them to do it. We know that already. And the law's been passed. These people will have lobbied. George Soros and the Open Society Foundation will have lobbied for the law to have been changed. So and then through online forums, they'll be getting these youths to go and do this stuff. It's all tactical. This is a military tactical war. This is warfare. This is warfare. George Soros is waging war. He is a war criminal. He is a war general. He is a war leader for the UN. That's what he is. He's not a philanthropist. He's not any of these people. They are war criminals. No different than the Nazis. No different than the Nazi leaders. That's exactly what they are. At stake is their Corporate Equality Index, or CEI score, which is overseen by the Human Rights Campaign, the largest LGBTQ plus political lobbying group in the world. Now let's not forget, we're talking about ESG, environmental, social, governance. Environmental, LGBTQ's got nothing to do with environmental, got nothing to do with it. Social, possibly, but what rights do gays and lesbians and transsexuals have that regular straight American or English or Western people don't have? If anything, they have more rights. They have way more rights today. They can protest, they can damage property, they can steal, they can scream, they can even physically attack you, and you will be arrested. You will be arrested. And we've seen this time and time again on the internet, on stories, on social media. HRC, which has received millions from George Soros Open Society Foundation, among others, issues report cards for America's biggest corporations via the CEI. Now, these corporations aren't just going along with it because they're scared of a few protesters. They're going along with it because they're pedophiles. The CEOs of these major corporations have all been linked, are all linked to Jeffrey Epstein and other known pedophiles, or what would you call them, honeypot operations that are being done by the CIA. In fact, some of them will be ex-CIA agents. Some of them won't even have been compromised. Some of them will be fully fledged CIA operatives working at the CEO top heads of these companies. Same with MI5, MI6. This is where CEOs are recruited from. These when people say, oh, well, you can work your way up to being one of these. No, you can't work your way up to being at any of these levels. They are chosen for their positions. They are picked by a council, by a shadow council, awarding or subtracting points on how well companies adhere to the HRC causes rating criteria. So this is socialism. Socialism is here. Socialism is part of your life now. It's not a faraway thing. It's not. We don't live in a capitalist society. We live in a socialist society. These companies do not care about your money. Now, if they don't care about your money, then why are you paying for their products? If the government can print money, why are you paying taxes? Every single thing you work for is completely devalued now. It's devalued now. The only reason you're still continuing to go along with it is pure illusion. It's your pure illusion that you think that money and these things are important. And I'm the same. I go out there and I try and make my money because we know that we are stuck in this system. We're stuck in this system. There are ways out of it by investing in gold or crypto coins, but even then, there's risks. There's risks constantly when you're doing these things. And these companies, they know exactly what will happen if they go against LGBTQ, or not even against it, if they just don't promote it. It's as simple as when I think it was Lennon, or maybe one of the others. I can't remember which one it was, but there's that story where they were all clapping. They were all stood there, done a speech, and they were all clapping, and they were all scared, and every single one of them was scared to be the last one to stop clapping. They had to clap, and if you didn't clap, you are on the chopping block. And this is what these companies know: we are on the chopping block if they do it. And they're not scared of the activists. They're scared of, number one, there's multiple ways they can come out. BlackRock, Vanguard will just cut funding. They'll just take. So all they have to do is say, okay, we are taking the money that we've invested into your company, the shares that we own, we're getting rid of. Bye bye. We don't want nothing to do with it. And then the company collapses. Everything that person owned is now thinking. Not just that. Most of these CEOs are in debt. They are in debt. They're not making millions of pounds. They are in debt. The ones that aren't in debt are just government agents. They are just the front men. They are just the faces, the clowns, they're just the puppets, and they know that they're the puppets, and they're happy to do so because they get nice cars, they get to fly all around the world and nonce kids all year round for free. And that's exactly how they control them. Soon as you look at the what was the other thing that they control them with? They control them also with not just the debt, not just that, the honeypots, the bribes, the corruption. You see, if they've been, in order for them to get to the positions they are, they've had to do things corrupt. These Blackguard and Vanguard and all this have had to say, go and do this for us, go and do that, get to this point, get to that. And once they've gone and done that stuff, they've got records of it all, and they can expose them. They can say, right, you've been here, you've been in this country, you've been in that country, you've done this to this woman, you've done this to that person, and they can just bring them down. And this is subversion. This is subversion. This is how would you call it? This is how the communists have taken over. So equality of fortune rate companies. So it's gone down to the bottom here, but let me just go all the way up. So when you click on, I actually shouldn't have clicked on it. Let me go back because I've actually got that open there. So when you click on this one, corporate equality index, the site in which George Soros has been. The site in which George Soros Open Society Foundation has been donating millions into. Let's have a little look at what it is. Corporate Equality Index 2022. Rating workplaces on lesbian, gay and bisexual, transgender and queer equality. Human Rights Campaign Foundation. Look at this. This is all to do with Black Lives Matter as well. This isn't just about the pride and all this stuff. This is the CEO. Demonic. Message from the interim HRC Foundation president. No, we don't want to read any of this. Let's go down. Tried to find it on Twitter. Couldn't find anything of her, she, him, whatever their name is. It even says here when you go down. Where is it? Now all these ideas about this she, her, him, they. This has all been done before. This was all done in Russia years and years and years ago. It was already done. It was already tried. The exact same implementation, and it's crazy when you think about it. There it is. Yeah, she, her, his. Joni Madison, that's a name you want to try and remember. She will come up later and later and later and later. Right, driving equality in LGBT plus and family formation. Formation. That should technically say destruction. That's what they mean by that. Destruction. Family destruction. Raising the standards for transgender inclusive healthcare. So all these people that they're trying to go for these healthcares, I think that's to do with depopulation. It's all to do with a lot of it to do with depopulation, because a lot of these drugs that these kids are going on, they're destroying the bodies, not just and they can't have babies. And in 20 years' time, 30 years' time, when they look at themselves in the mirror and see what they've done, it's going to be cruel. It's going to be so cruel. You're going to see the suicide rate within the LGBTQ community skyrocket by 2030. And that's depopulation. There's your depopulation. You've got 100 different tactics. The COVID-19 jabs didn't work. They're not working, should I say. They worked to an extent, but nowhere near. This is the next plan. The next plan is probably going to be the second pandemic that they're trying to talk about now. We'll get into that in a different video. Best practices of utilising intersectional examination of workplace inequality through training and data collection. So brainwashing. This is corporate brainwashing. This is what the Nazis did when the Nazis were messing around with LSD. And they were trying to use psychology to brainwash these people. Mandatory. Remember that mandatory. That means you are a slave. Mandatory gender transition guidelines and workplace policies to promote and ensure gender inclusivity. To promote it, not just to ensure it or to include it, but to promote it. They are there to promote through your workplace. Now, in England we have the NHS, but in America their healthcare comes through their work. So in order for them to get their healthcare, they're going to be able. They're going to get jobs. They're going to say, right, we're not going to hire you because you're a straight white male. We're going to hire you because we need to make a quota. When that person, that LGBTQ person, that transgender, gets a job, they're going to have full range, full access to transgender affirming care, which is essentially genital mutilation. And they'll be able to go and get it done. And the company has to pay for it. And not just pay for it, they're going to have to mandatory promote it. They're going to have to push it on people. Even people who probably aren't even transgender, who are probably just bi-curious. Promote. Depopulate. A comprehensive guide. And another reason why they want this to be companies doing it, because then you can't blame just one person. Since 2002, the Human Rights Campaign Foundation has published the CEI report based largely on the annual CEI survey administered to hundreds of major global employers. The first index in 2002, they've been doing this since 2002, had just 13 companies with 100% scores, in comparison to 480 plus companies. And the reason they've reached 480 plus and so many is because of Vanguard and BlackRock and Fortune 500. It's all owned. It's all under one big giant umbrella, and it always has been. I would even question whether we've even had capitalism in our lifetime. I wouldn't even think that we have capitalism in our lifetime. The only place you're going to find capitalism is on the market street these days. So we know that it's not about environment. We know that it's not about social. We know that it's just about the agenda. And the agenda isn't just LGBTQ+. This is more of a condition. This is a condition mechanism. So are you going to go along with it? Are you going to say that 2 plus 2 is 5? Or not? If you're not, then we know which ones to wean out. We know which ones to get rid of. We know which companies to destroy. We know which people need getting rid of. So I'm guessing these are Okay. See, Nike is one that's just come out going woke. Nike has just come out going woke. Yeah, I think they done something with Dylan Mulvaney. Not 100% sure. But ranking 85. Apple Incorporated. JP Morgan 17. And look how long this page is, man. They put some effort into this. Since 2008, 90. Look at that. Now 662. Now you know where this wokeness is coming from. You know where it's coming from. It's not coming from activists. It's not coming from popular demand. It's not coming from the public. Ford Motors. Ford has just come out with that truck advert. I think it did. Yeah. They've just come out with that truck advert. It's all Walmart. Walmart is number one. This is the takeover. It sounds so nice, sounds so polite, and it's not. Inclusive benefits, spousal, medical, and other benefits. Transgender inclusive health insurance. There we go. Right there. Now these are mandatory. As we read before, these said that it was mandatory. Includes sexual orientation. What does it matter? What does it matter if you're working for a company? What does it matter about your sexual orientation? And I'll tell you why all this matters. They want everyone hyper fixed, hyper focused on sex, monogamy, sodomy, fetishism, and it's all. I think it's all to push one thing: to normalize paedophilia. The LGBTQ has been constantly bombarded with so many accusations and strange things with the grooming, with the what are they called? With the drag show story times. Drag show story time, grooming. Drag show story time and their events have had so many children involved in their strange little grooming events. And this is where it's all going. The whole objective of this movement is to normalize this behavior. One second. Is to normalize this behavior. They want to normalize this behavior. It's satanic. Look at these grown ass men in front of this little girl. Look at what is going on. This is what this is all about. It's all about the normalization of paedophilia, and the reason why is because the people involved, George Soros, Bill Gates, the CEO of BlackRock, Larry Finkel, they're all paedophiles. They don't operate in a world where with financial currencies. They don't go to the shop and they don't buy milk and bread. Their currency is in the lives of little children. That's the currency of the elite. Everything is about saving the children. These people need to be stopped. This whole agenda needs to be stopped. Now, how are we going to stop it? People are saying, Donald Trump, let me show you why that's not going to happen. This is 2016, December the 2nd. So this is an old article, but this just shows you what sort of connections Donald Trump has. Now, I like Ron DeSantis, and I'm not even in America. It's got nothing to do with me, what happens over there. all I'm interested in is saving the kids. England has its whole different type of nightmare going on over here. But Donald Trump has enlisted a number of top business leaders for an advisory committee in order to help bring back jobs to make America great again. Okay. Now I don't know what his advisory committee is going to be like in this election cycle. I haven't seen anything of it. But let's have a look at some of the people he chose to work with. Group will reportedly meet with Trump frequently, and first meeting is slated for the first week of February in the White House. Here are a full list of people on the advisory committee. Now, some of these people actually don't like him anymore, so it's difficult to say what's actually going on. But let's have a look at some of the people. Chairman and CEO of General Motors, Toby Cosgrove, CEO of Cleveland Clinic, Jamie, I'm going to call him Demon, Chairman of CEO JP Morgan and Chase. As we know that they were well up the top of that of this corporate ladder. Let me find that. Let me get that up so we can go back to it. We can flick back to it when we need to. That little, there it is. There we go. BlackRock, Larry Fink. BlackRock. This is like really, really high up. This is a guy really head up. This is a guy who communicates directly to the Rothschilds, to the Orsini family, to the people who really run the world. And BlackRock, BlackRock and Vanguard own major percentages in every single company. We've got Disney. We know Disney's been going woke. Now, Ron DeSantis is going head to head with Disney now. Head to head. He is not. These people do not like him. I know that Larry Finkel doesn't like him. I know that this guy doesn't like him. And if these really don't like Ron DeSantis, then that's good. But this could explain why Donald Trump is attacking Ron DeSantis so aggressively. Don't we have the same goal? Don't they have the same goal here? Stop globalism. Bring back patriotism. Bring back jobs to America. Bring back individualism. No, they've attacked him so aggressively in the last couple of days, and I think we're going to see the exact same happen to Kennedy Jr. when he's going to do his next few things. Former chairman, president, CEO of Boeing, IBM, General Electric. I mean, these are not the type of people you would think Donald Trump should be brushing shoulders with. These are supposed to be the enemy. They are the deep state. They are essentially tentacles of the deep state. You might not think they are. These are not capitalists. These are not people who got to where they are because they're smart thinkers, because they're intelligent, because they came up with a good idea and it took off. These are CIA trained. Probably even secret German intelligence trained. They're the globalists, essentially. They are the globalists. So now that we've gone through all of that, what we're going to do is we're going to get the backstory back in. Get rid of all that. Now this is going back from Agenda 21, Global Conspiracy of the Elite, explained by David Icke, plan to kill you, plan to replace you. Now in the last video, I'm going to start it from exactly where it was in the last video. I don't want to play the full video. Go and follow this guy and listen to the whole thing yourself. I'm just going to play it for about, I'm on 28 minutes, and play it for about half an hour along with the division. Just going to get the division, load the division up. And we're just going to have another little listen as we play through the game. What I will do is I will get the capture down to size. I did it yesterday like this. I think it was like there. Maybe this. put it on a low setting so it's not very put it about there. There we go. I'll put it there. Come on. Come on. I'm going to be downloading the new game as well to try and play a few different games while I'm doing this. Maybe some survival ones like Dead Side. Maybe even just Call of Duty. Come on. The Division's good, but I get sleepy. I fall asleep when I'm playing it. Let me just lock the window capture. Okay, the game's loading. Come on. Right, okay. While it's loading, I'm going to lower my mic down and then I'm going to click play on the video and we're going to get into it.
Now, in terms of weather manipulation, Dr. Richard Day, the 1969 man, he actually worked on weapon manipulation in the US military during World War II. And the BBC recently did a radio documentary in which they exposed that the Great Flood at Lynmouth in 1952, when they had 250 times the rainfall, and it created this massive wave of water that came through the village, killing 35 people, was actually done by the RAF. They called it Operation Cumulus, also Operation Witch Doctor. And it was manipulated on purpose as an experiment on weather manipulation. It's been going on that long and earlier. Here is a US Air Force document, 1996. It describes the artificial creation of floods, hurricanes, droughts, and earthquakes, and continues. Weather modification will become a part of domestic and international security and could be done unilaterally. It could have offensive and defensive applications and even be used for deterrence purposes. The ability to generate precipitation, fog, storms on Earth, to modify space weather, and the production of artificial weather all are part of an integrated set of military technologies. Now, of course, most people will now be bloody aware, my God, were we bombarded this year or what, with chemtrails, not contrails, which disappear, condensation trails, chemtrails that don't disappear if they come out the back of these bloody aircraft. They stay around and they come out and eventually drop to the earth, and they have strontium, they have aluminium, they have barium. It's acidifying water, it's acidifying the land, and it is causing tremendous impacts on human health. Cumulatively, again, the coal, but it's doing something else. In the HARP patents and specifications, etc., in the description of a researcher describing and summarizing what it said this: dispersed metallic particles such as aluminium, barium, and strontium, the main chemical ingredients of chemtrails, or ingredients of chemtrails, may increase the atmosphere's conductivity and therefore enhance HARP's weather modification performance. So it's doing that as well. So where am I going with this? Well, I'm going here. Dr. Richard Day, 1969, the weather will be modified and used as a weapon of war to create drought or famine. A weapon of war against who? In Agenda 21 terms, a weapon of war against the small farmers, landowners, and growers of the world, not least in America. We have had in America this massive drought this year, which has devastated small independent farmers and growers. Of course, the big bloody corporations can cope with it, got unlimited bloody funds when they're part of the agenda. And so, also, in 2011 and other times, we've had these extraordinary forests of tornadoes. It was about 300 in a period of 3 days at one point. I think it was 2011. And that, of course, is devastating rural communities and what have you. Creating tornadoes with HAARP technology, child's bloody play. And what have we had in this country? Devastating weather and floods, which again has had a massive impact upon small farmers and growers. And you know, there was a report for the European Parliament, a European Parliament committee in the 1990s, about HAARP, which was actually quite good because it was saying, hold on a minute, we don't like this. And one of the things it was saying is that HAARP technology had the ability to manipulate the jet stream and change weather patterns. Well, when you look at the meteorological explanation for the great deluge in Britain this summer, they say extraordinary things happen to the jet stream. And instead of going away and taking, dropping some and going off into Europe, it basically started doing this, which is why we got the bloody lot. And when the farmers and growers collapsed, in come the big agribusiness people, the network, to take over the land for cents on the dollar. Also, we're having this devastating impact upon the bee population around the world. Monsanto, another word for bloody evil. And the other part of this is to create food shortages. Food shortages because it's not there, because of the production, and food shortages that people simply cannot afford it because it's so bloody expensive. And control if they eat, and their hearts and minds will follow. This is all part of the control system that they're bringing on. Get them off the land free. Financially, get them off the land. They can't afford to stay there anymore. There you go. There you go. This is the... this is where we're at. Hunger Games, Agenda 21 or what? 3.5 million homeless, 18.5 million vacant homes in the United States. There you go. Oh, you're poor. What a joke. Woman in £1 million hat makes speech about austerity.
Theater needs new batteries for its communication.
Praying for starving children while sitting on a golden throne. This is the dynamic between people, politicians, and banks. These answer to the same masters, thus they change legislation to suit them and screw them. This is how it works through this system. This is why the governments are not doing what's right for people economically or any other way. They're doing it for that which they represent. Politics, banking, and all their other stuff. One global unit. As this guy, I won't say it again, but this guy was talking about all the Satanists in banking. And this guy said, the system is broken. It was built this way. Of course it was. You know, let's get this right. I go to a bank, and you lend me money that doesn't exist, and then I pay you interest on it, plus the bloody principal, right? Let me get my head round that. But that's what's happening. They've created a system, because of the dynamic of the politicians representing the banks, legislation has been passed that allows banks to lend at least 10 times what they have on deposit, fractional reserve lending. So every time we borrow $50,000 from a bank, or putting $50,000 into a bank, let's put it the other way, they can now lend 10 times that, which doesn't exist, to other people that come and want a loan. It's interesting when you follow this around the banking system. One loan. I go for a loan. Can you lend me £50,000? Yes, I can. Why were you going to lend it me? I'm going to type £50,000 into your account. Where's it coming from? Oh, just type it in. That's no problem. So, okay, now you've got £50,000, right? Which we have created out of nothing. Fresh air. Okay, so you get it. In theory, these figures on your screen. You see a car you like. You go over here and you you say, I'll pay for the car. You give him 10 grand or 5 grand for the car, whatever.
we've had a recent
He then
report I
takes that
in the
money and he
OTM
puts it in
office.
his bank.
There might still
Now,
be
this
batteries in
bank
there.
can lend 10
Find a way
times
inside
that,
and take a
which has
look.
come from
But you need
this,
some for
which
the
was created
communication
out of bugger
equipment.
all in the first place. And when you follow this through the banking system, the amount of money that can be created from a single loan that was out of nowhere in the first place is absolutely bloody fantastic. These people, if they were charged with criminal activity, they would have to reincarnate many times to finish the bloody sentence. But it's worse than that, because who creates money? Governments create money. No, they don't. Overwhelmingly, private banks create money by issuing non-existent money called credit. Thus, this is how the economic cycle goes. Banks issue lots of credit. A boom is created. In the boom, people feel more confident because they've got lots of orders in their business and they've got jobs look safe. They borrow more money. Companies borrow money for more plant and machinery. People borrow money to go have a bigger house, a bigger car, or a bigger holiday, or whatever. What happens in a boom is people tend to get more and more into debt, credit card, and all that stuff. And then at the optimum point, the fishing line has gone out there. Now they're pulling it in. They create a crisis or a reason to take money out of circulation, not make as many loans. What do they call it in 2008? A credit crunch. Nice one. And then suddenly, there's not this same amount of money in circulation, even non-existent stuff, to create the economic activity that was created before. So suddenly, people can't buy as many things, people don't sell as many things, and therefore businesses start to shed workers or go out of business. People can't pay their mortgages, so they lose their homes. And the banks that have created this situation by lending money that doesn't exist, plus interest, then get all that wealth that does exist as they call in loans of collateral. And this is how, over centuries, fishing line out, fishing line back, they have hijacked the real wealth of the bloody world. And the Rothschilds are massively behind this in the banking system. This is Nathan Rothschild, the man who was responsible for building up the Rothschild empire in Britain. I care not what puppet is placed upon the throne of England to rule the empire on which the sun never sets. The man who controls Britain's money supply controls the British Empire, and I control the British money supply. And if you have one single currency, whoever controls that money supply controls the bloody world. That's the idea. And if you control the banks, and you control the central banks, and you control the reporting of the financial industry, you stitch the whole bloody thing up. In 2008, when the crash happened, I said that three things would happen. First of all, there was the crash of 2008 that had happened. Then that said there's a problem. Two, governments throw fantastic amounts of borrowed money, credit at the perpetrators, the banks, until their financial barrels are empty. We're there. And then at some point, they want to crash the economy again on a massive scale to create a situation where there is a complete transformation of the financial system in the way that they want to create it. And it will be based on a world central bank, they're already talking about it, which would dictate all global finance. What are they doing in the European Union? Stepping stones, totalitarian tiptoe. They're saying as a result of the financial crisis in Europe, which these have created, we must have centralized control of all the banking in Europe. And then you look at the people who are coming forward to solve the problem. When we had the crash in 2008, the Bush Treasury Secretary was Hank Paulson, who'd come a few years earlier from Goldman Sachs, where he was chief executive officer. The new head of the European Central Bank is Mario Draghi. Mario Draghi is a former employee of Goldman Sachs. The guy currently unelected and running Italy, Mario Monti, is a former executive of Goldman Sachs. And former executive of Goldman Sachs is like saying former agent of the bloody CIA. They never are. So all this money was hosed at the banking system, and in that way, a banking crisis became a government crisis, because now the money's come from the government to the banks, and the governments are then making it a people crisis. And we said, what just happened? I thought it was a banking crisis. Now they're taking everything away. Austerity programs. Agenda 21. That's what it's all about. And see, what they want is a single currency. That's what they want. So the euro was never an end in itself. It was always a stepping stone to the single currency. All the euro is a stalking horse which has been used to delete the multi-currencies of Europe. It's deleted the guilder, it's deleted the mark, it's deleted the lira. But it's not an end in itself. It's a way of deleting all those independent currencies. And they want eventually the euro, it might be tomorrow, but they want the euro to disappear so the world currency can come forward. And people like George Soros, one of the demo cons and a Rothschild frontman, he and the Vatican has called for World Central Bank and a world government and all the rest of it. The IMF, which is just another agency of the bloodlines, is now taking over control of countries like Ireland and others on the basis of this economic crash which has been manipulated. And again, no heart, no empathy, consequences for people, consequences for families, consequences for children. They couldn't give a shit because they have no empathy. And what we are seeing all over Europe is this gathering economic situation because it's manipulated for a specific end. Britain is now £1 trillion in debt. And the more and more debt people or countries get into, the more and more control they give away to others. America has just passed $16 trillion in debt. In truth, it's bloody bankrupt. And it's being done systematically. I've been saying this for years. America is being used to destroy America, economically and militarily. Any country that cared about the people in a massive economic crisis would not be spending trillions on the bloody military and wars in different parts of the world. But it ain't the American military. It's the cabal's military being used to orchestrate the campaign of acquisition for the cabal. Therefore, they're just using America's economy to bloody pay for it. And the idea of destroying America is if you have superpowers that have the economic and military might to say no to your world government, you do not have a world dictatorship. So destroying superpowers is absolutely crucial to this world dictatorship that they want to bring in and are in the process of bringing in. And then there's these bloody credit ratings agencies, Moody's, Standard & Poor's and Fitch. They were the buggers that gave AAA ratings to total shite that actually helped massively to cause the crash of 2008. Now, they're credit rating countries and bringing mayhem. And the media are saying, oh, there's trouble at Mill for Portugal. The credit ratings agencies are downgrading. They're bloody owned by the same people that own the banks, for goodness sake. It's all a scam. And this is the Hunger Games world, the Agenda 21 world that's unfolding. And you know, it's great that people are challenging this thing with the protests and stuff, but we need to go more than that. And they need to get streetwise. Because in the end, this world government structure of fascist control, it's not bothered about what the form of control is. It just wants the control. So it's quite happy for independent banks and biotechs and energy companies to be brought together under so-called government control, under like Orwell's ministries. So they'd have a World Ministry of Oil, a World Ministry of Biotech. The World Health Organization, created by the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, by the way, would become the World Health Ministry, controlling all pharmaceutical stuff and health and what have you, what patents for health for these people. And therefore, that we've got to be streetwise, that if we see this happening, we don't say, yeah, get the banks and all that stuff, because we'll be cheering for the next stage of control, treating more than it is now. We've got to get streetwise. Another thing, just a quick aside, there is a massive, massive problem in the background of gold that ain't bloody gold. It's actually gold-covered tungsten, which is counted as gold. And when that bloody comes home to roost, that's a massive impact on the economy as well. And talking about, the economy and debt, this is what this is about. Debt is control. So let's get young people up to their neck in debt, massive debt, which they then spend the rest of their lives paying off, just to be bloody programmed with a system's version of events. This is a great list. This is what you learn from school. Truth comes from authority. Intelligence is the ability to remember and repeat. Accurate memory and repetition are rewarded. Non-compliance is punished. Conform intellectually and socially. This guy, H.L. Mencken, said, the aim of public education is not to spread enlightenment at all. It is simply to reduce as many individuals as possible to the same self-level, to breed a standard citizenry, to put down dissent and originality. And there was a study at the William and Mary College in Virginia, where they studied the personality changes as people went through school. And they found this, a massive decline in creativity as children have become less emotionally expressive, less energetic, less talkative and verbally expressive, less humorous, less imaginative, less unconventional, less lively and passionate, less perceptive, less apt to connect seemingly irrelevant things, dots, less synthesizing, and less likely to see things from a different angle. That's what they found happens as people go further and further into the system. And now they want to take this system and they want to make the kids pay for it with debt for much of the rest of their lives, right? Now, here's my suggestion, here's my question. What do you want to bloody do it for? What do you want to do it for? Why do you want to go through this system and have them tell you what you must think about every bloody thing? And if you don't tell the exam paper what it's told you to believe, then you won't pass. Why? Is it the done thing that you go through school, kitty, and then you then have to go to university? Oh, yes, you go to university. That's what you have to do. Oh, you've got a chance to go to university and you're not taking it. Oh, you're crazy. Oh, I'm not speaking to you anymore. And I'm your father. And all this bollocks, right? Well, and I see these protests of young people and students in London and stuff over the ever-increasing fees that are being charged to get ever-increasing debt for control over young people at the earliest possible stage in their lives. And I see them do their protests and all that stuff, and that's great. And then they go back to bloody college and university. The only way it's going to change is if they refuse to bloody go. Don't take part in the system. Now, and then they say, well, I won't get a good job if I don't go to university. I know university students are packing shelves in supermarkets. Surely you have the creative ability to create a life without going through this frigging sausage machine. Come on, we can do this. We don't need the bloody system. Perception control. This is a major thing that's going on. They're creating an electromagnetic sub-reality to talk to us within the frequency of human brainwave and electromagnetic activity. And this is what these are about. First of all, America, Britain, anyone else listening, we need a massive no-compliance rebellion against these frickin' things. Watch the word smart. Big red alert. Smart is the buzzword of Agenda 21. It talks about smart meters, smart grids, smart cities, human settlement zones, smart growth, smart drugs, smart freaking arse. That's when he's talking about smart Agenda 21. And what is this bloody old thing? This is in their own bloody documents, not bloody, sitting in a darkened room working this out, bloody telling you. This is a plan to create eventually a global smart grid. And what the smart meters are, as part of the smart grid, they create, in effect, a electromagnetic internet, wireless internet, in your home. Very, very bad for health, especially the young. And also, it's about not only picking up information from your home and delivering that information to a central source, but also bringing information into your home within the human brainwave and electromagnetic frequencies to speak to you subconsciously and deliver you with the perceptions that they want. Let's look at this. This is CIA Director David Petraeus in a speech he made, or a talk he talked about the Internet of Things. This is what he said. Items of interest will be located, identified, monitored, and remotely controlled through technologies such as radio frequency identification, microchips, sensor networks, tiny embedded servers, and energy harvesters, all connected to the next generation of internet using abundant, low-cost and high-power computing that would transform the art of spying and allow people to be monitored and automatically without planting bugs or direct infiltration. He said that this involved new technologies which added processors and web connections to previously home appliances, like fridges, ovens, lighting systems. Remember that for a second. This is known as the Internet of Things. Petraeus has confirmed that people would be watched through televisions. These are Orwell's tele screens. So the idea of the smart meters is to...
My game crashed because it always does. That's why I need a new game. I am technically loading it up again, but I'll probably be ending it here because I need to keep these videos but not below an hour anyway. I need to keep them below an hour so that they're on better quality, but I might just continue to play the game for a little bit, but I'll be stopping the video here so that when I upload it onto Rumble it can go up on 720p, a little bit better quality than last time. Let me just sort this out because now I've loaded the game up. It's going a bit weird. Okay, so where are we up to on this video? Let's have a gander. 54 minutes. Let's just play it a little bit. I'll play it a little bit more. Get it to a point where he's finished with his little rant, and we'll stop the video there.
Create this energetic environment, this information environment, which is delivering information about you to the authorities and delivering information from the authorities at the subconscious level to speak to you. The smart grid is watching you. And the idea then is to connect these grids in different countries into a global grid. They talk about it in their documents. And, on just the health dangers alone, especially to children, this is the American Academy of Environmental Medicine. The board of AAEM opposes the installation of smart meters in homes and schools based on scientific assessment of the current medical literature, which raises credible questions about genetic and cellular effects, hormonal effects, male fertility, yes, blood-brain barrier damage, and increased risk of certain types of cancers from RF or ELF levels similar to those emitted from smart meters. The board finds it unacceptable from a public health standpoint to implement this technology until these serious medical concerns are resolved. We consider a moratorium of installation of wireless smart meters to be an issue of the highest importance. Ignored because why? It's the agenda for Agenda 21. This lady...
yeah, I think I'm just going to leave it there. He goes into the light bulbs now. I think I've seen this before. But yeah, we're just on 9 minutes up to an hour. So yeah, jump on my social medias, jump on my, let me just get up, follow me on Twitter, follow me on YouTube, Read Realm, Sean J Fox on Twitter, and try and follow so I can start doing live streams on my Rumble. Alright guys, see you later.